The Paingala Upanishad in simple English, presented by Svayam Prakash Sharma, Part 3, Chapter 3. Then Paingala said to Yagyavalkya, "Respected sir, please tell me in detail what the great scriptures declare." Yagyavalkya replied, "Dear Paingala, one should meditate with these thoughts of the great scriptures. Tat tvam asi, that thou art. Tad tvamasi, you are that. Tvam brahmaspadam, you are the seat of Brahma. Aham brahmasmi, I am Brahm." In the text, "that thou art" of the scriptures, the word "that" refers to the imperceptible personal Lord, who has the qualities of all-knowing and others, who is endowed with the power of Maya, of illusion delusion, who is of the character of being, who is consciousness and bliss, and who is the source of the world. This is what is meant by the word tat, the word that of the religious texts. The word thou in the text refers to the individual self, who is influenced by his inner sense, supported by the conception of mindness, of I, of ego. When Maya and ignorance, which envelop, which cover both the Supreme Self and the individual self, when both these are overcome by the light of knowledge, then what is meant by the term that and thou becomes Brahm, the Supreme, which is not different from the individual self. And then the individual self merges in Brahm, the Supreme. An investigation into the meaning of the texts "that thou art" and "I am Brahm" is listening, is hearing, and exclusive attention to, and focusing single pointedly on the meaning of what is heard, is reflection, and the fixing of our thoughts with single pointed attention only and solely on the objects attained through hearing and reflection. That is meditation. During meditation, thought is concentrated and absorbed only on the object meditated upon, and it demolishes the distinction between the meditator and the act of meditation. And then the meditator resembles a still lamp in a windless place and attains the highest enlightenment. And in that state of the highest enlightenment, when the entire functioning of the person is directed towards the process of knowing the self, when his entire functioning is directed towards the process of knowing the Atma, then the intuitions of the self are not known directly, but are only indirectly inferred from memory. When enlightenment is attained, then through that enlightenment, the previous innumerable karmas, the previous innumerable deeds accumulated during the endless cycle of births and deaths attain dissolution. They all dissolve. They all come to an end. From now onwards, through the power of practice, a stream of nectar always showers on him from 1,000 directions. Therefore, those who are skilled in yoga call this highest enlightenment the cloud of virtue. When the nets of our nature, both good and bad, when the nets that bind us, when all these nets dissolve without leaving behind any residue whatsoever, when the deeds accumulated in the past, both the vicious, the bad ones, and the virtuous, the good ones, when both these, when all our deeds are completely destroyed, right up to their very roots, then the past and the future become absolutely alike. They become totally alike, owing to the removal of all obstacles. They then bring about a direct and immediate perception of Brahm. He can now see Brahm directly and clearly, just as he sees the fruit that he holds in the palm of his hand directly and clearly. Then the knower of Brahm becomes a liberated one in this very life. Ishwar developed a desire to restore the elements multiplied fivefold to their original unmultiplied form. With that in mind, he caused the universes and the worlds comprised in them and all the other effects to recede into their earlier causal forms, and making all these, the subtle body, the organs of action, the life principles, the organs of perception, and the fourfold inner sense, making all these into one, and after merging all the elements in the fivefold causal elements, he reverses the order of creation. He now, in the reverse order, causes the earth to dissolve in water, water to dissolve in fire, fire to dissolve in air, air to dissolve in ether, ether to dissolve in self-sense, the self-sense to dissolve in the great to dissolve in the unmanifested, and the unmanifested to dissolve in the self, the unmanifested to dissolve in the Atma, in this order. The Virat, the Hiranyagarbha, and the Supreme Lord, owing to the dissolving of their respective adjuncts, they too also lapse, they too also dissolve into the Supreme Self. The gross body, composed of the great elements multiplied 5 times, was organized through the past accumulated karmas or deeds. Now, owing to the destruction of those deeds and with the ripening of the fruits of good deeds, the gross body becomes one with the subtle body. He then attains the form of the causal body and causes the causal body to merge in the unchanging inner self. The 3 states of Vishwa, of Tejas, of Pragya, on account of the dissolution of their adjuncts, they merge in the inner self. The microcosm of the body, being burnt and purified by the fire of knowledge, becomes merged along with all its causes in the Supreme Self. Therefore, the Brahman, who is a knower of Brahma, after controlling his senses, engages in uninterrupted meditation on the identity of that and thou, which are the Supreme Self and the individual self. After that, just as the sun shines with all its splendor, when the clouds covering it dissipate and disappear, in the same manner, with the disappearance of the ignorance that covers it, the self then manifests itself. After meditating on the self of the size of a thumb, which is seated in the middle of the heart, like a lamp placed inside a vessel, and which is of the form of a smokeless flame, the self then manifests itself. One should meditate on the unchanging and the imperishable Brahm that is within us, and who manifests as many, many diverse functions. The sage who is continuously engaged in meditation, either till he goes to sleep or till he dies, he should be known as the liberated while he is still alive and in the physical body. He is one who is truly blessed. He is one of fulfilled duty. He has done all his duties. After giving up the state of being liberated while still alive, when the time comes for him to leave his body, he enters the state of disembodied liberation. Like the air, he too attains the state of stillness, of non movement. He attains the state that is devoid of sound. He attains the state that is devoid of touch. He attains the state that is devoid of forms. He attains the state that is devoid of wasting and of waning. He attains the state that is devoid of taste. He attains the state that is eternal. He attains the state that is devoid of smell. He attains the state that has neither beginning nor end. He attains the state that transcends the great. He attains the state that is constant, the state that alone remains, and the state which is flawless and free from ailments. This is the supreme state. This is the ultimate state of oneness with the transcendent, supreme Brahm. This concludes chapter 3 and part 3 of the Paingala Upanishad. Om Shanti 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 Om.